Hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girlfriend, Kate Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. Is that just not the story of our lives? Okay, I needed this. Lest my scalp should be itchy. Okay, let's start again. Hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girlfriend, Kate Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're still in. I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. Is that just not the story of our lives? Today is the 24th of December 2024, Christmas Eve. And it's a whatever day. It's a relatively whatever day. The topic of the day is, like, who do you think you are? Yes. The topic of the day will be, who do you think you are? And I will put it down there below when I make my edits, do my edits. Do you not just adore my makeup look? Courtesy of Beauty Plus. CapCut is not the end of the world when they take away makeup features. Anyway, whatever. Let's just get straight into this particular discussion. Without further ado, this is an interlude, so there are not going to be removal of silences. It's largely unedited, etc. Except maybe changing of like adjusting color, lighting, all that jazz. But yeah, let's just get straight into this message. Okay, you know, adjusting after a demonic attack, a demonic abuse, adjusting afterwards is just so rough. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up all bereft. Alright, and it goes a long way for me to have do my thumbnail on Canva and then share my content that I will have uploaded the night before or whatever. And for me to have these restrictions just lambaste me because of that baboon from YouTube. Basically, the delaying of the inevitable, the delaying of the inevitable, my content that I produce as and when I feel the need to produce it, especially when I'm really hurting, it just delays when I can upload it. I am restricted to 15 videos a day, and that's okay because really I don't tend to do more than that. But my biggest issue is thumbnails. Like, they restrict me to like 8 or 9 thumbnails a day, and I have to wait for 24 hours before I can put a thumbnail up again. And my thumbnails make all the difference. Not that anybody's watching my content, but these monitoring baboons sometimes click on my content purely because of what they read on my thumbnail. I am actively working to eliminate them. I am going out of my way to neutralize them from the face of the earth. Literally, that's what I'm doing. And I'm therefore comprehensively aware of the fact that the way that I eliminate is by making them come into my content and then causing them to have a severity of regret. My whole intention is to make them feel like quite the exquisite barbarians. It is important that they feel like trash. And they're not gonna get them absent of them listening to my content. It is important in the worst way, therefore, that my thumbnails be up, because you know that saying, curiosity killed a cat? well, it can necessarily apply to the wicked too. Their curiosity always kills them. And my thumbnails create the curiosity. I make them look. Whether or not they want to turn their backs on me and act like they can walk away from a severity of fear that this is not going to end well is irrelevant, because bottom line is I hook them the way that you would lure in a little fishy in the wilderness out there with a fish hook using thumbnails. My thumbnails are frankly like a Trojan horse, except not quite, because they make it clear what in the world you're going to be listening to when you come inside. Alright? My thumbnails make it evident that it's not going to end well. They tell the whole story in just one big fat chunky thumbnail. With that being a reality, a fact, and a truth, gone are the days, frankly, when I'm busy uploading content just like that, with some auto-generated thumbnail. That's not gonna massacre anybody. That's not going to put anyone in the ground. That's not going to cause anyone to repent, if that's what's going to happen. That's not going to cause anybody to get shakes, move aside, because they're going to feel non-threatened and unintimidated by what I am. But it is my absolute comprehensive prerogative and therefore job from here to Timbuktu to make them afraid, make them very afraid. My intention is to freak them out. My intention is to make them hella uncomfortable. The intention is precisely to make it impossible for them to move on. I have glued them to myself as with sticky tape or a glue gun or super glue. I don't know. Just I've glued them because my intention is to slice and dice that which needs slicing and dicing. Rescue, if possible, even some from the flames of hell if they're interested. And then slap them into obscurity to make them feel like the scum of the earth. In other instances, listen. We're in this together, okay? You don't get to act like little circus freaks, animals of sorts, and not have somebody highlight that as a general concern. You don't get to walk around being clamorous crabs and have someone not just put that out there as a reality. You don't get to walk around butt naked, nude, in society, in front of jogging ladies and playing children at the park, and not have someone highlight that as an issue. And occult practitioners, you are these flashing freaks in public society, doing strange stuff that you shouldn't be doing to any human being. And you strangely hope that insofar as you can harass the living daylights out of them, you can make anyone that has qualms with you or a bone to pick to shut up. I'm sorry, you're freaking weird. You are weird, and weird stuff ought to be highlighted as such. Creepy, weird, anomalous, and the stuff of reporting. Take, for instance, all this frenetic activity going on in the US of America, in the state of New Jersey, of drones. There are these hovering craft. Don't nobody know what truly is going on over them. There are hearings from here to Timbuktu concerning that particular issue, that phenomenon. And nobody can really give a straight answer. We are all just curious across the planet. What's happening in America? And then the drones have the brazen audacity to keep on hovering further beyond state borders and then knock themselves into Tennessee, knock themselves into basically wherever else it is that they can go. So now it's not just an NJ issue, but look, it's like an America issue. And they just keep hovering and hovering and hovering. And Biden doesn't really have an answer. The White House doesn't, or the Pentagon doesn't have an answer. The army, like, nobody has an answer, at least not one that's straight, sufficiently enough for anybody to have any level of ease. But those things are hovering over American airspace, and they could be a threat to national security there. So no, people out here roaming these streets with Android and Apple devices are not just gonna stand back and be like, khata khata, post on social media, hey look, I saw a hovering thing on our airspace. No, they are gonna raise it as a matter of concern, of national concern, sufficiently enough for it to be the stuff of presidential mention. And then the news are gonna cover it. And then everybody's gonna be like rapping on, no, there are drones, there are drones, there are drones, until news across the world, not just American news, out here be also talking about the drone phenomenon in New Jersey, and now look, they're also in Tennessee and other states. I stand corrected, as do Texas, like proper, they're just everywhere. Is it an alien invasion? Is it the Man in Black? Ta-ta. Galaxy Defenders? We don't know, but all we know is that it is a phenomenon that is anomalous, it's aberrant, it's not regular. It's not like seeing a bird in the sky. Ain't nobody trying to report that. It's anomalous and could be a threat to national security or even international security, because if these are aliens, heck, they don't have respect for national borders, because so tomorrow they're going to be in South America, the next day hovering all over Africa. So really, we all need to be worried about what's going on over there. Yes. When stuff is weird and out of whack and is not doing that which stuff is supposed to do, you idiots, you cannot with any level of seriousness as a human being that expects to be taken just that seriously. You cannot expect that people are just gonna let stuff go. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, yeah. They're gonna have to ask if it doesn't really look like a bird. And if it doesn't really look like a plane. But it's flying, so if it's Superman, it's gonna make the news. But you go and gawk at the pigeons in your airspace. Go and gawk at all the doves in your airspace. Go and gawk at all the aquatic life in your waters. And then try and take that to some newspapers. And see if they're going to find it interesting sufficiently enough for it to publish, or if you're not going to get exported by the security guards. They're going to tell you, get out, you're wasting my time, because no, there are going to be little fishies in a pond. No, there are going to be birds in the sky. But if you rock up with the UFO all up in somebody's iPhone, maybe, just maybe, you might see the executive of that production company. Just maybe. You're freaky witches. You are weird, you're an anomaly. You're an unidentified hovering freaking phenomenon. And so for those reasons, you are naive, comprehensively and violently, to anticipate that people like me, who are to be seeing all the strange activity, all this drone activity, all up in my airspace, that I'm gonna shut up about it because you said so. So I'm quite annoyed with the fact that you're trying to get me to walk away from YouTube. Because I'm busy reporting drones on my airspace. I'm literally just making it clear that, look, I've got this like Android device. It's not the best picture quality, but that is doing something that is not supposed to be doing in the sky. It's moving left and right, up and down, spinning on the spot. Laws of aerodynamics, I'm sorry, can't adhere to them. That's not off Earth. Something is weird over them. But you see, you are clandestine people, you like secrecy, everything is about being hush-hush for you, so when somebody is a whistleblower on the rooftop concerning your anomalous activity, you want to get rid of them, but how many times? Have alien whistleblowers been silenced in history a lot, to a point where they called them cray-cray, but now look, in 2024, it's mainstream media type news. You can't ignore an anomalous phenomenon indefinitely. At some point, everybody gonna get on this bandwagon. So, I mean, maybe, just maybe last year, you could have made me wear tinfoil on my head and say, she's weird. She's like the guy from War of the Worlds with the little big warning and the foil on his head and the like God is coming for us, the world is ending, and then it becomes clear later that, yeah, it is ending. Okay? You are strange, you are aberrant, and anomalous. You are the stuff of unexpected phenomena on radar. And don't nobody know what you are for real, and so therefore, it is potentially true that you are threatening to the people on the ground, the ecosystem down in these streets, the life cycle piece of all of us all, the food chain, all that which is environmentally, we're used to it. You are an anomaly, you're catastrophic, you are the strange thing that goes bump in the night. You are the otherworldly stuff that, absent of us confirming, is safe for us to dwell with. We can't let it go. I need to pee. I have returned. Mamelangne Baloi, listen. I do not like you. I think that's become clear. Ever so recently. I'm very cynical concerning you. I've never liked you. I've never appreciated what you do. But the stuff that you're into, you have recruited this whole entire land that is South Africa into your crazy, crazy whatever you're doing. And you've made them believe that it's okay. You've made them think that you are a going concern and that we can trust you. You have convinced this whole South Africa that you got this, everything is under control. All of your ancestral worship and what have you, you've gone on right ahead to legislate that everybody has a right to a freedom to practice it. And I've been saying for a minute, it's witchcraft, it's destructive. And you have ignored me because you have comforted people, succeeded, to imagine that they can live in the midst of whatever you are and be okay. I don't know if you've seen the movie Mars Attacks, have you? If you haven't, I would implore you to pause my content, go online, search for it from whatever streaming platform, watch it, and then come back and carry on from this point going forward. I literally implore you to just pause my videos. Go watch Mars Attacks, like all of it from start to finish, and then finish this discussion. Because only once you have the context of Mars Attacks can this conversation then be deep enough to perhaps convict you to stop your trash. Or if at all you are duped into thinking that we can live at peace with these anomalous beasts, you will conquer that naivete with an overcoming. Okay? Go on. I'm waiting for you to go watch Mars Attacks. Pause me and come back. After all, it's only a couple of minutes into my first part, so it's not going to be too much of a drag. I'm yet to get into the deeper stuff. Congratulations. You have returned. I would imagine you've watched Mars Attacks. Thank you. Now, remember that scene in Mars Attacks? We're all of America. We're all of America, reporters and the like, out here dealing with spacecraft hovering around in their general vicinity, going to the wilderness, the desert, the bush, where these alien craft were at, to meet them, including the president of the US, some reporter ladies, etc. It's a whole bunch of fans, waving the American flag saying, "We love you, you are welcome. Do you come in peace? Do you come in peace?" And then there is a communique with the spaceship. What are your intentions? Are you hostile? What's good? And the aliens responded in English because somehow they had learned the language. And they said, "We come in peace, we come in peace, we come in peace." And what then happened thereafter? Celebration, celebration. And everybody was happy. Lo and behold, But a few minutes later, in the same scene, these aliens, these Martians, got out of their craft and started shooting everybody dead. And only at that particular juncture, oh wow, look at them declare a national emergency, a state of emergency, a catastrophe zone. But by then, it's an all-out war, an invasion, and we're done for. In all of these alien movies, it's similar that way. War of the Worlds too. Okay? First dealing with like a cloudy weather situation, calm before the storm. And then next thing, you've seen Independence Day. Hovering spacecraft above a land, a city. And initially people are just like, I don't know, do they come in peace? Do they come in peace? And then we get that those are all movies and what have you, but it is imperative to use movies because sometimes before something becomes a reality, all you got is the movie, you know what I mean? Before a conspiracy becomes a fact, all you got is the movie. Yeah, you know how these predictive programming Hollywood movies are to becoming true in an eerie capacity. All we have initially is just the movie until it becomes your reality. You are alien in that regard, witches. And you see, every so often there will be that one scientist. There will be that one geologist. There will be that one archaeologist. That's like, hey, you are taking this too lightly. This is a threat to the country. This is a threat to the world. This is an extinction level event. Like in the movies. Every so often you be like Leonardo DiCaprio in, is it The End of Days or whatever, some Last Days movie, you know, where Leonardo DiCaprio acts with Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. You are those students. You are those lecturers, and you are those archaeologists. Those whistleblowers. Thank you. That is the word that we are looking for. Whistleblowers. Compound word. Initially, you're just a whistleblower. And you know something that everybody else is out here taking very, very lightly. You are aware of an impending disaster that is cataclysmic on a global scale, and you're the only person in the room that's like, listen, you're a little too chill. For this, it's going to end the world as we know it. Well, I'm that archaeologist that does not buy the skelem of the fact that this stuff is innocuous, and so far as you do the dialo and you cover yourself with this and that and you bath in this strange water and you whatever, you can protect yourself. I mean, you are aware that these are hostile foreign visitors to the earth. They're hostile. There is nobody sitting where they're sitting in a chair. Imaginative that witchcraft is friendly. You at least have gotten to a minimum understanding that this here is hostile. Even if witches somehow succeeded, I mean, what in the world is happening? Somehow they prospered, these baboons, to convince you that I come in peace. Just like in Mars Attacks. I come in peace. It is literally beyond me, the comprehension of how it is that anybody came to a point of believing anywhere on earth, never mind South Africa, that there's such a thing as white witchcraft or an innocuous version of sorcery, when we come from a history of generally casting witches from among us in society. I mean, they were pariahs of society for good reason, historically. They're destructive and the stuff they do is incalculable. It has no boundaries, no borders, it's unseen. There's no containing it, it's unquantifiable. There's no end, therefore, as to the disaster it can cause. Such a thing as this thus, seeing as it can't be contained, it is imperative that we avoid it altogether, shouldn't we? Granted that it can cause as much disaster as it can on the ground. I mean, it's just basic 1, 2, 3 ABC. It is no wonder they got burnt at the stake historically. It is no wonder they got necklaced. It is no wonder they got burnt in villages. It is no wonder they got disembodied, vigilantically just massacred by ancient folk. But look at 2024 human beings go. Out here chilling with some stupid colleague wearing some stupid beads, obviously being a stupid witch, however she is stupidly left to stupidly exist in your midst. Stupidly exist in your midst. To a point of proudly wearing that trash, stupidly legalizing it under your constitutions and your countries, and you think that you're not going to be dealing with a stupid extinction level event that could have been stupidly freaking avoided. An unquantifiable chemical explosion, and there is nobody quarantining it, there is nobody containing it, there is nobody wearing kid gloves to see how in the world to handle it. Why is it not being regulated? I've been saying this time and time again. Loose cannons hopping around like kangaroos in these streets, out here, sprinkling dust here, sprinkling dust there, here a dust, there a dust, everywhere a dust, like old McDonald's farm of freaking witchcraft. Everywhere you go, Gimului. And now they are glamorized so much that they got tutorials out here that they're teaching people on YouTube as to how to bewitch your next door neighbor. Hey, Korobela, easy come, easy go, like Smarties. You keep on exchanging them like it's Tic Tacs. Just take a woman, 10 for the price of 1. You like her, just use the spell. And this fire that is not contained, you then anticipate is not going to basically bring about a wildfire, an inferno. You think that it's not going to burn down the whole country. You think that you're going to be able to continue to maintain this thing simply because, like a little, sweet little, very strategic Martian, you prosper to convince Earthlings that you come in peace. I hope you watched Mars Attacks. Maybe even Independence Day. War of the Worlds. I could go on. Invading forces rarely ever are sweet and kind. They tend to want to take your country over, your land over, your world over. They tend to megalomaniacally want to be the thing that's out here ruling and reigning. And absent of you seeing them for exactly just what they are, your country is in danger. In South Africa, you're done for. Kabulwe Baluna, I am not scared of you, because I have gone to the one true God. I'm safe, but unfortunately, and I spoke about that yesterday, nobody else is. You see, that's just the thing about being a person that is out here sounding an alarm. You warn and you warn and you warn, but then after enough people ignore you, you go into your small little safety pod and watch them all just bomb. South Africa has this thing that I'm gonna watch from a distance just burn. How under heaven anybody at all changed their minds about the innocuity of witchcraft is beyond me. How anyone got to a point where they would conclude something so freaking dangerous is innocuous, harmless, safe for babies. I don't even know how that happened. Like, a society that at some point was aware of the dangers of this thing, enough to actually be burning the local witch, because what are you doing? Now you have convinced an entire country that it's safe. It's like saying to people, no, I've just got a little bit of gonorrhea. It's just a little bit of HIV. Tiny bit of trichomoniasis. No, just a sliver of oral herpes. Like a disease can ever be safe. Like a disease does not need to be cured altogether. Like you don't need prophylaxis at all to prevent it. Like a disease can ever be ever so slightly diseasey. At which point did you come to a conclusion that a little bit of HIV is okay insofar as it's just a little bit of HIV? A little bit of witchcraft. It's just okay insofar as you don't go black magic. And now look at your gangster country. Like, Give a person that little bit of HIV and just tell them to sit there doing nothing about that little bit of HIV. Just sit on it. No, I dare you. Go and get yourself just a tiny little amount of syphilis. Just a small little sliver of herpes. And just sit on it. Sit on it. Don't treat it. A small little amount. Microscopic. Negligible, barely noticeable. Tiny little amount of cancer. Just a small little tumor of cancer on your cervix. Leave it, because after all, it's a small amount of cancer. Leave it. I'm quiet because I'm waiting to see what happens when you just leave a small little amount of HIV and cancer in your cervix. I'm sitting here just waiting to see what happens eventually. How about we look at you 1 year down the line in your cervix? Go see a gynae, lady. You who found just a small little lump in your breast last year when you did a mammogram, you just let it go. Go back to your oncologist 1 year later and see if it's still a small little amount of breast cancer. Go back next year to your gynae when she found small little cancerous cells in your cervix and see if they're still so small next year. Yeah, no, sit around on your HIV, your small little diagnosis. Just one little small faint line on the rapid test. There are 2 of them, but hey! And don't treat it. And then go back to your doctor after 3 years of just, popping Smarties instead of ARVs. And see if it's still so small. I'm thoroughly just sitting around here waiting. Doing nothing but, really. I'm just sitting here waiting for you to come back to me after your diagnosis of HIV. 5 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line. From it, when it was just new, it was 3 months old. It was 4 months old. Come back after 3 years and tell me if it's still 3 months old. Come back after a year and tell me that that small little sliver of cervical cancer is still a small little sliver of cervical cancer. Come back and tell me what that oral herpes and those genital warts look like after 7 months of being left untreated. Tell me how your syphilis and your gonorrhea is doing after a year of just being left alone. Tell me, woman, you who is out here rolling these streets with a bad case of trichomoniasis without taking antibiotics, if at all you can still have a baby. Tell me if your reproductive system is still functional. Tell me if you're still getting your monthly period. Tell me if you aren't getting some strange vaginal discharge that has a funny color alongside odor. Tell me if that itch did not just go on right ahead to graduate to death. Tell me if you did not get sepsis in your body. You let me know what happens with that amoeba chilling in your brain. Tell me what happens with it when you refuse to take, that's what's good, anti-parasitic medication. Does it still stay a small little amoeba? Small little cervical cancer? Small little lung cancer? Small little breast lump? Or does it start in all of its malignancy to, I don't know, end you? Do you start to die? Do you start to lose fertility? Do you start to get multiple organ failure or what? Do you start to bleed internally? Do you start to get necrotizing tissue out here needing an amputation because you ignored something that could have been dealt with just a basic, broad spectrum antibiotic? Tell me, if your ARVs have not kept you alive for 20 years, since your first ever diagnosis of HIV. If you're still alive, then why oh why do you imagine so a gargantuan disease as witchcraft can be left untreated without it eventually metastasizing to mortal levels? Why do you think that this country is gonna stay alive with you thinking that it's too far you just sprinkle a little bit of herpes? It's nothing much. How anyone prospered to convince anyone that there is a difference between white witchcraft and black witchcraft after we come from a wonderful time of burning witches at the stake is beyond me. How anyone at all can come from human sacrifice rituals and then think that that's just a very extreme degree of sorcery, but if I just steal a pen with witchcraft, it's better than a human sacrifice ritual, even though it comes from the same source. Like, somebody please explain to me why people who found out that ancestors, those spirits behind them, which are demons, let's just put that out there, once you find out they're diabolical, why you tweaking it, mending it, bending it, meandering it, adjusting it and augmenting it, somehow reached you unto a safe conclusion that the mended and the bent and the augmented version must thus now be safe despite still using the same exact spirits, just like it being the same exact cancer cell, but hey, look at it now emigrating over to the liver from the cervix. You know that that's what happens with cancer, right? Yeah. It'll be out just chilling on your boob. Next thing, it's wrapped itself around warmly like a nice little blanket around your stomach lining. And then it's out here smooching your liver. Next thing, it's made a bosom body, chest bumping and fist bumping with your pancreas. Now it's reached so many organs that you're done for. You might as well get your affairs in order. It has metastasized, but it started in your boob though. But the boob is so high up. How did it get to my liver? The boob is so high up. How did it get to my pancreas? Human sacrifice is so extreme. How did it get to a job? You think you can start with a small little thing. I'm going to make a woman love me. You could learn a few things from Adele. I can't make you love me when you don't. Again. Or even Brand McKnight, he also has a version of it. Or is it, who's that other one that has licentious music? Tank. I can't make you love me when you don't. You don't want to take that in your stride. So you go from first using witchcraft to get just a job. You think it's just a job. And you don't think that this job is going to metastasize to your liver. You don't think that it's going to one day end up being forcing a woman to marry you. And then once she doesn't want to be with you, oh, look at you, homicide is so easy. Hey? Look at you now suddenly kill with it. But all you were doing initially was white witchcraft because after all, is it not beneficial for me to get a job with witchcraft? It can't be that bad. It is removing an unemployed citizen of South Africa from unemployment into employment. It's improving the country's stats. I'm just using it to get a job, but tomorrow you're using it to rape a woman, and then the next day you're killing. That was the progression with my ex-boyfriend, just by the way. Some other dude I knew at MTN. Start out with a job and then it becomes Korobela. Korobela of which, as I like to say it, rape. I can't make you love me when you... Gee, shut up, Karabo, because me, I know a couple of people. Whatever, look, okay, I was that scientist at the beginning. On some, I don't care what you say, this stuff is dangerous, we don't know it, it's unquantifiable, you can't put it in a vacuum, you can't seal it, you can't isolate it and study it, you can't put it in a petri dish and gaze upon it with a microscope. You cannot contain this thing. There is no end as to how far it can go. So please, don't do it at all. There is a reason why some people got burnt at the stake for it. It's because it was destructive, but they were like, it's archaic, that mindset. You and your archaic mindset, Karabo. Cease hostilities. This is 2024. My point exactly. We're in the last days. More so. Ought you avoid these things, but nah. You look at me like I'm a crazy lady wearing tinfoil on her head on a mountain saying, God is coming to boil wrath on the earth. He is going to bring fire and brimstone down if you don't stay your hands from this wicked thing. You think I am just some crazy person with a board on the side of the street saying the end is near. But you see, those crazy people with boards on the side of the street saying the end is near are not crazy. There comes a time when they become the only sober people in the room. But initially, you think of us as cray-cray. Too extreme. Hey, it's written of the world in the last days that all of y'all are going to be lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. That your gods will be your bellies and you will glory in shame. You will glory in shame. In other words, you are going to say of me, shame on you, Karabo, how dare you be so condescending? How dare you be so bigoted? How dare you be so incredibly judgmental of people merely exercising their freedoms to be who they want to be? I'm apparently stepping on the toes of people wanting to experiment with their spirituality. Honey, you are destroying the country with a Martian invasion. There is some strange pathogen that the earth cannot stomach. It is not supposed to be living among us. It does not operate with the rules of time, the rules of space, the rules of physics, that which we can understand, touch, feel, taste, and hear, that which we can comprehend and so therefore quantify, that which we can study and so therefore contain, that which we can create variables on the left and on the right, up and down, ahead and behind, as to how much of it can spread itself before we start to fall apart. This thing does not honor any such rules. It has no respect for what we regard as acceptable as human beings. It is otherworldly, outer dimensional from us, unexplainable, with limited causality, and so unquantifiable, effect. It just merely rocks up and cannot be explained by a single body. And yet we're playing with it. Human beings. Hey, Sheol, you know what? Listen, okay? We are born hating God at our own peril, sadly, because we are also born inherently desirous of the supernatural, because we are supernatural beings. We are spirit beings that are, however, greatly nihilistic and ignorant of our supernaturalness. So that thirst and that hunger inside you for a supernatural existence, which is where you're eventually going to be ultimately, so it's a desire to be reconciled to who you truly are. When you don't quench that thirst with the God you don't like, you will quench it with some other supernatural activity. You are spirit beings, humanity, and your denial of the reality of the God of the universe who created you, who said let there be light, is the very thing that lends you over to dumb stuff, stupid stuff like witchcraft. That same God who said let there be light, who formed Adam out of the dust, breathed into him, and then he became a living soul, following which he then made Eve and everything. That God that you separated from because you fell gave this earth rules and boundaries within which to operate, having made us as the human race a little lower as the original creation that he made in these streets. He made angels first, and then later, many moons down the line, he made us, and he saw it fit to make us a little lower than the angels. So essentially, we might be spirit beings, but we don't have superpowers. I mean, look, to certain My multicellular organisms, human beings, do have superpowers. We do. But we don't gauge them as superpowers because they're regular to us. We take them for granted. We've got superpowers above animals that they wish they could have. We can talk. We can reason. We can ration. We can worship and commune with God in a way that is audible and comprehensible. And we can lead. We can take care of societies. We can build. And we can tear down. It's a superpower. Go and ask any pig how they feel about talking. Babe is not the real deal, neither is Animal Farm, okay? Or even Charlotte and Charlotte's Web. We personify animals because we understand ourselves as superior to them enough for it to be important or impressive for them to be given human power. It's the reason why we write comic strips. It's the reason why we do animation, Dr. Dolittle, and then we make animals talk. It's because we inherently know that we've got powers that other lower multicellular organisms, created beings, if you want to call it that, created fauna, just does not have. So frankly, to an animal, oh, we're huge, like wow, we're worthy of emulating. If at all animals had any level of intelligence, they would covet our power. And if at all a human being were to say to an animal, hey, I can be to you like Dr. Dolittle and help you talk. If at all we could convince animals that if they worship us, they'll be able to build a house and walk a child to school and read a book, just out of sheer desire to have a power that is supernatural that other of your kind don't have, you're gonna run with it. But you see, it's not within the ontological makeup of an animal, a bird, a peacock, to be distinct, or an elephant to speak. It's not within their nature. They ought not speak. Listen, the imperative terminology here is ought not. They shouldn't. Why? Because God said so. For no other reason. Like, I kid you not. For no other reason but the fact that God did not make them to speak. He's the one that created them physiologically the way that he did for his own purposes. And so you are out of line, human being, when you try to make like Dr. Dolittle. Do you understand? You are out of line. Because can you imagine the level of disaster that a talking lion can cause? Never mind in the wilderness, a Wimbawe, where it's out here rolling with other lions, but to the human race too. Listen. We've got superpowers too, we just have no respect for them. Because of the fact that they're just so natural to us. It's second nature, it ain't jack, it's nothing. For me to talk is easy. Somewhere along the way, after being a little baby, I was able to learn 1, 2, 3 ABC, and now I can read entire thick wads of books. I've got a superpower that animals, frankly, would covet if it was within their prerogative to do so. If animals were intelligent like us, they would also wear panties. They would also put clothes on. Their nether regions cover up, for crying out loud. Look at human beings out here putting clothes on animals. They don't need them. But you think it's cute to put some onesie on your little pooch. Yeah, but that pooch would not, in its own capacity, just go wear it. Okay? If animals were like us, they would try in all their power to be just like us. And you know what we are to animals? Domineers. Because the Lord gave us dominion over them. He said, go out there, fill the earth, occupy it, and as mankind I've given you dominion over. Wildlife, I've given you dominion over the earth. You are the head of it. You are the ruler in these streets. So I mean, understand that if an animal can take on any element of our power, our abilities to speak, have you seen the Planet of the Apes? If at all an animal can speak like us, be smart like us, build like us, form societies as we do, basically just be a thriving, intelligent being like human beings. Why? Why? Why would it be subject? Why would it subjugate itself to the tyranny of being under the dominion of humans? Why? When they have got powers that exceed ours, like they are more agile, like they have, you get my point, they've got their own things going down. Why would they not use the combination of their animal powers that we don't have as human beings with the ones that they gained from us to essentially stage a coup? Why wouldn't they? Because the moment you have got dominion over something and then you give a piece of your intelligence to another, there will always be a risk that that other thing that has been made higher than what it used to be will now start to become all feverish with arrogance and say, I'm gonna exalt myself, I need to go and deal with the situation outside. It went quiet. I still need to go and use the loo anyway, so I should probably just go. These animals would want to take us over. It happened with Satan. He was given an iota of God's intelligence. And then he said, I'm gonna exalt myself above the Most High. And I'm gonna exalt myself above the stars of heaven. And I'm going to be like God. I'm going to ascend above the stars of heaven. I'm gonna be like the Most High. I'm gonna be like God. I'm gonna take this thing over. That's what happens when you give someone a piece of your power. They can either choose to honor you and thank you, be grateful for the power you gave them, or just stage a coup. Stage a coup. So with God knowing that we have it in us to stage coups and everything, He gave us limited powers so that we will not be as destructive towards each other as we possibly can be. He knew that absolute power would corrupt absolutely. He knew that people would take things a little too far. He knew. So he made us a little lower than the angels so that we would embrace the cross. Because he knew that at some point he was going to rescue us with the cross. Granted that he also knew that the devil would tempt us and we would bite. But because we were made lower than the angels, we had an excuse that angels did not have. We did not have basically access to that cosmological plane that they have access to, that I believe was the biggest reason why Satan and the fallen angels don't have a shot at redemption under the cross. I need to pee again. I am back. I believe that's evident. Satan fell out of heaven because he thought he could take God over, because he had a great deal of power that was given him by God. God is wise, and so when he restricted, limited what human beings can do, making us lower than the angels, he did that to basically protect us from, yes, ourselves. The height of what entities can do. The reason why we were not enabled from the very get-go to be that way is because God knew that we were going to fall. And that it would be impossible for us as human beings to ever be reconciled to him if we were made at the height of entities. Let me explain. Satani that you are besotted with at this present juncture, at your own peril, is a fallen angel but was once a holy angel. Lucifer. These beings, God did not create for them. the spherical structure that we are suspended in outer space dwelling in, called the Earth. Yes, it is a sphere, flat earthers. He did not say, let there be light, let there be A, B, C, D, Q, and R, let there be animals, and then made human beings and angels from the soil on the ground, fashioned this Adam guy, breathed into him, then he becomes a living soul. But instead of it being Adam, 'tis an angel. He didn't do that. He was hanging out in heaven from eternity past as the Holy Trinity. Perfect fellowship, really didn't need anybody, but he absolutely adores to make stuff because after all, he is the creator. So he created company that would be his servants, worshippers, body of, these are mine. I get to make them because I've got the Lego pieces. So I'm going to craft them, angels, and they're going to live here. The Lord made angels there. He was in heaven from like long ago, always just been around, and then was like, boo, let there be angels. And then there were, right in that ecosystem.